So I hear you've picked up a 26-inch mountain bike. You're thinking about maybe converting it to a commuter, or maybe just going to restore it. You've started gathering all your parts, you've got your handlebars, you've got this, you got that, but you're stuck on tyres and needed a bit of advice. Well, you come to the right place. I'm kind of obsessed with tyres and I've used quite a few of them now. And the ones I haven't used, I know quite a bit about, and I hopefully can help you guide your way through the reasonably limited amount of tyres that are out there for the 26-inch mountain bike. So without further ado, let's go into this. I'm not going to do this in any particular order, but I will start with my favourite tyre, which is the DTH by Maxxis. The DTH comes in a couple of sizes. I tend to only ride the 2.15s and then the 2.3s. The 2.15s will fit on pretty much most of the retro bikes, because obviously a lot of the stays on the rear triangle are a little bit narrow, so 2.15 is probably a good place to be. But the actual tyres themselves are semi-slick, so they're designed for dirt jumping and BMX and things like that, and they are generally quite light as well. Like, they do have a wire bead and a folding. The folding ones weigh next to nothing, so if you are on a big retro mountain bike that's quite heavy, any kind of components you put on there that you can squeeze some pounds, tyres are a good place to start. The one thing I would say with the DTH is they aren't the most puncture resistant. Being quite a thin casing, they do kind of get popped quite easily by glass shards, and if you live in a city like me, there's a lot of glass around, so it's something you need to be prepared for. I really like the way they feel and they roll even in the wet, so I kind of weigh that up with just making sure I don't get punctures if I can help it. I really like the 2.3s as well. If you have a bike that fits them, I definitely go for 2.3s, just because that extra cushion, especially for around cities and bumps and any kind of like that rougher terrain, it just makes that ride a little bit nicer and a bit more cushioned. So yeah, DTH, probably my most used and one of my favourite tyres. Before we move away from Maxxis, honourable mention would be the Icons. Icons are quite good. They're a cross-country tread tyre. They're a little bit more chunky, so they are more kind of like gravel paths and things like that. If you use them for commute, they'd probably be fine, because they're not that bad. They're quite fast rolling, but they're definitely more if you were going to use them for like gravels, a bit of, you know, gravel riding basically. But I really rate them, really good tyres. And the other one is Hookworm. I've never actually used Hookworm, but I know a lot of people do. The balloon tyres, they are 2.5, so they are huge. You do have to get a certain frame size to be able to fit these things on there. Even fork, you might even struggle on some of the retro bikes. But these things are, again, they're semi-slick. They're pretty popular for people that, you know, are in rougher terrain places or kind of like poor roads, because they do soak up a lot of that kind of bumpiness. But the difference with those compared to the DTH is they are much heavier casing, so they're much better for puncture resistance-ness. There's a lot of words I'm probably making up in this video. Resistance-ness. But being a lot thicker and much wider as well, you're going to get a bit more resistance, so they are going to be slower. Generally, the more narrow tyre, the more kind of or less resistance you're going to get, and you are going to be a bit quicker. The thicker, the wider the tyre, come on, get your words out, a little bit slower, depending on the tread. I'm going to contradict myself quite a lot in this video, I feel. The next one is another tyre that I've not actually used. It's the Continental Contact Sports. I have a couple of friends that use these. Actually, most of them actually use them on 700C wheels, but they do sell them in 26 as well. But they are essentially, again, something. It's a slick tyre that has a little bit more tread to it. They're really a soft compound, so they're not the most long-lasting tyres, but they're really good in grip, especially in the wet. Which is obviously a big deal if you're commuting, things like that. The other thing with Continental tyres being one of the biggest brands in the world, means the tyres are quite cheap. You can get them really reasonably on a lot of sites. So if you want something that's a little bit more kind of lower price and a bit easier to find, Continental Contact Sports are pretty decent. Now let's move on to a brand that we all know that I probably won't be pronouncing correctly, which is Schwalbe. That was probably the closest I've ever got it. Schwalbe actually make quite a lot of tyres in 26 inch, and they make a lot of good, decent tyres, and a lot of their tyres come in different compounds as well, so depending on where you are in the world and kind of the terrain you're doing, there's a lot of options. But there's two big ones that stick out for me, especially when it comes to commuting, which is the Big Apple, and then the Billy Bonkers, which we'll talk about in a second. The Big Apple is a commuter tyre. It's one of the bigger, chunkier tyres that they do, which is because it goes up to 2.35, I believe it is. So you do get that big cushioning. So if you want something a bit blown up, that's a good one to go for. Also with Schwalbe, they're obviously a massive company as well, so Big Apples in particular, you can find quite cheaply. Before I move on to the Bonkers though, the one tyre that I know a lot of you are probably going to put in the comments if I don't mention it, is actually the Marathon. The Marathon is another commuter tyre made by Schwalbe, and it is near enough bomb-proof. The casing's really thick. It's super resistant to like punches and things like that. And I don't know about the city bikes in the rest of the world, but in the UK, all the city bikes, all the Boris bikes, all those bikes have Marathon tyres on them because they are bulletproof. I think even Line bikes have them now. So that is, if you want something that you're pretty much not going to get punches on and stuff like that, that's one to go for. They're not the most pretty tyres. I think they only go up to maybe 2.1. So they're not, they're nothing cool, but they will definitely get you to A to B, and in the winter in particular, you'll be good. So a really good one to go for. But if you are looking for something that does look good and something that you're going to get the likes on your Instagram account and people in the street are going to be like, nice tyres, it's the Billy Bonkers. Billy Bonkers are probably one of the most controversial tyres out there because everybody talks about them, but I don't know many people that actually really truly love them, and I've probably just opened up a firing range in the comments below by saying that, but I still put them on my bikes even though I don't like them that much. The reason I don't like them that much is the tread. They're not really designed for road. They are a dirt jumping tyre that retro builders and commuters have grabbed hold of because they look super cool, put them on their bikes, and off they ride and roll, but not so fast. They're also quite thin and light, which are kind of like the DTH, like we talked about earlier on. So they are probably the most punchery tyres that I've used on my commute. When I had my Billy Bonkers, I was getting punches left, right and centre. But they do look very cool. There's not a lot of tyres out there that look as good as Billy Bonkers, especially on a retro bike. The thing as well that I get asked a lot about, there's 3 colours for the Billy Bonkers. There's black, there's tan, and then there's bronze. Tan pretty much doesn't exist anymore. I don't think they've reissued it for a long time. Bronze has replaced it. It's not a weirder colour that they do now. Like a lot of people just figured, oh, these are knockoff tans, or they've just changed the colour tans. It's a different tyre called bronze, but yeah, tans haven't been made for a while. You can sometimes find them still in like smaller tyres and 20-inch tyres. I have a set of 20-inch tyres. Anybody who follows the Marin Man, a long time ago, he actually bought some 20-inch tyres thinking they were 26-inch tyres. So that was quite funny. Sorry, Mike. But yeah, Billy Bonkers. You got to try them. If you haven't tried them, you might love them, but yeah. Now on to another tyre that is a great one for style points, which is the Panaracer Gravel Kings. Panaracer. It's not that hard to say. The Gravel Kings are one of those tyres that I've wanted to try for a very long time. I was always umming and ahhing about it because like everything I heard about them, they're very kind of like sticky. They're not great for road riding, so they're only really good for gravel. And I don't really do a lot of gravel riding. If I'm going to go out into the forest or out not on the road, it's mountain biking trails and chunky stuff where like the Gravel Kings aren't quite there. I was actually lucky enough to get given some a while back to kind of like test out, and I was really impressed. The actual casing on the actual tyres feels super premium. I don't really know how more to describe that, but a lot of tyres either feel really rigid or super soft and just a bit weird. There's something about the Panaracer tyres that just feels quality, and that's what Panaracer is all about. They make incredible tyres. tyres. They make lots of different compounds. I think mine are the SKs, which are quite sticky. They're really, really good on gravel tracks. They're super high rolling and they really kind of get through stuff. But I found on the roads, they were just a little bit sluggish, which is what you'd expect for something that's super sticky and kind of for gravel, really. The biggest thing with Gravel Kings though, like some of the best bikes that I've seen on the internet are rocking some Gravel Kings. Like they look super, super cool. I have a bike build in the works that I'm going to be releasing hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be putting the SKs on it, simply because they would look really, really good. So there is definitely an element when it comes to picking tyres, whether you really want to focus on that really looks good or you want something super, super practical. So, and the last one I'm going to talk about is what I call my 100-mile tyre. Back in June, I rode the Ride London 100 miles, and it was basically from London out to like Chelmsford area and then back again. And I did that on a 26-inch mountain bike, and I ran WTB's thickslicks. Thickslicks are quite literally a slick tyre. That's all that you have going for you there. The thick is because the casing itself is super thick, and I mean like when you hold the tyre and put your fingers in there, like it is thick. So it's very highly punch resistant, which is why they're super popular. I've ridden over a staple, which usually is the staple's going straight through your tyres and pretty much straight into your inner tubes, done. But I found it, I think I may even have a video that I can play here, spotted it and I pulled it out and it was good, and it's still got air in it right now. It's not a problem. So they're really, really good for that. I haven't ridden them in like kind of the wettest conditions. I don't know how good they will be because they literally are super slick, so there's not any give at all. So I don't know how much they rate for the all year round. Actually, I did suggest these tyres previously in another video, or maybe on Instagram, and Monkey Shred bought some, and he almost ended up in a canal. So they're not great in slick or wet kind of situations. But in the dry summer, like, oh my god, they were really good, and they're super high rolling and just made the bike feel light and fast, which is a lot of the time that's what you're after. So I highly rate them. I did 100 miles on them, and I honest to god feel like they were part of the reason that it made it as easy as it was. Easy? It was not easy, it was really bloody hard. I think that's probably about it. That's the ones that I would go to. Obviously, I've missed a bunch, but I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an insight of kind of the tyres and the kind of area of tyres that I kind of work in. A lot of people ask me what I think about certain tyres, so I wanted to kind of make this video just to kind of direct people to, but also I did a couple of videos back, which I'll link here now, about derailleurs, and I had a few comments saying like part specific videos would be really useful. So this is a bit of a series that will start. So if there's a specific part that you want me to kind of go into and kind of talk more about kind of the stuff I use and why I use them, put them in the comments below. I've definitely got a handlebar video coming, and I do want to talk about forks and headsets, especially when it comes to retro bikes. That can get a little bit fiddly, so that'll be more of an explanation of the difference between them, not necessarily just like brands to look at, but I'll probably talk about them as well. So yeah, more to come. Also, a little update, because a lot of people have asked about this as well. The cargo bike is this close to being finished. I can show you the fork. I don't know how well you'll see. Oh, you probably can. It's lacquered, and as you can see, it also has metal flake on it now as well. This bike is going to look unbelievably cool. The frame is. Can I show you the frame? I obviously can't fit the whole thing in the camera, but you can see this is slightly, but you can see the metal flake. It's ridiculous. It's one of the maddest bikes I've painted in a long time. You can see like the metal flake, like we're gonna get seen. We're gonna be seen on this bike. There's no doubt of that. It's wicked. It really is. So if you want to see me finish that bike, I do suggest subscribing to the channel, because that bike will be I'm building that this Monday, so that'll be coming, or tomorrow when you watch this. And I've got another bike coming. Shall I show you the frame? I'll show you the frame. I've got another rally. This one is called the Moon Run. But I've been looking for a black frame that's kind of like a decent size, and this one is like 22, something like that, 21, 22. So it's a big boy. It's what I like. So if you are new to the channel and you want to see these builds, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you can't wait till next week's video, this one here is a particularly good one.